Hi, I'm Saris Sudhakaran. In this video, I'll show you how to light a fight scene on a low budget. We'll take the example of the film Kate. It's got two fight scenes, one in a closed environment and one in a street. Why Kate? Kate is a film inspired by the 80s. The director was inspired by films like Nikita, maybe Sigourney Weaver in Alien, and he wanted to make a film that looked like the 80s, neon lights, atmospheric smoke, and backlight and all that. And also it stars Woody Harrelson. If I see Woody Harrelson on the thumbnail, I click.
Hi.
Your mileage might vary. As a film, Kate isn't that good. It's a ton of cliches, nothing you haven't seen before. I don't know, if you want to watch it, you want to watch it for its cinematography, which is amazing. One caveat though is you have to watch it in 4K HDR if you can, because the colors look that much better. The night scenes look great and vibrant. They use a Sony Venice for this film. The Venice is great because it's a great low light camera. They shot in ISO 2000 for most of the film. Sometimes they push it to ISO 10,000. If you want to know more about the camera and the cinematography, check out the article in No Film School, sponsored by Sony, but about Kate, and it's got an interview with cinematographer Lyle Vincent. I'll put a link to it in the description. The Sony Venice has great shadow detail. I've tested it myself against the Red Monster. You'll find the video on this channel. It's got great skin tones, and I think it would be one of the ideal cameras for mixed lighting on a cinematic budget. You wouldn't necessarily achieve the same results with an Arri Alexa, for example, in the budget that Kate had, which is about 25 million or so if Wikipedia is to be believed. The two scenes that we're going to cover should help you understand how scenes are lit for low budgets where you have to shoot quickly, and if you are planning a film of your own, whether it be a stunt scene or just a normal drama scene, a dialogue scene, it will still help you get started. Now, it's not that easy. You still have to learn how to light, and it's the nuances that make all the difference. If you really want to learn how to light, please check out the Beginner's Guide to Lighting for Film, a guide that I published. I'll link to that in the description. So let's get started with the first scene, which happens in a Japanese home. There's a clear homage to Kill Bill here, for those of you who have seen Kill Bill Part 1. The doors and walls are made of paper. It's called shoji, I believe, and this particular design is called yukimi. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments below, but I think it's shoji. It's a kind of translucent paper, but not completely opaque. It's pretty much similar to butter paper or baking paper or shower curtains, so you don't need the specific paper design. You could use some other material to achieve the same kind of wraparound effect in your set. So if you have white walls, it's going to do the same thing. It's going to bounce light around and make it a white box, similar to what you do with product photography. You don't have light coming in from outside. So you see the exterior shots where inside, in a couple of places, the lights have been switched off, except in the center. You can see in the scene they have a muslin sheet on top, and there's light above that. So a lot of light above that, placed in strategic places, especially in the middle. So it's more in the middle and less towards the side. So you have a kind of fall off. So you can look at the shadows on their faces, and because the set is pretty big, light is bouncing back to the back sides of the characters, but it's not the same exposure, it's not the same intensity. That's why you get the three-dimensionality. If it was too close and too tight, like this room, for example, light would just bounce closer to the walls and the exposure wouldn't be that different. But for this kind of setup, that works. But in the film, you wanted more three-dimensionality, so the sets were bigger, so it gave you enough space, so even if the light bounced back, it wouldn't be the same intensity as what you would get from the direct top light, and that's why you get that great look. And muslin is across the entire room, so the light bounces off the walls in all directions and wraps the actors in a beautiful, soft light. It gives them the freedom to move wherever they want to move, to any corner of the room, to the center of the room. Everybody's going to be lit perfectly. So you don't see any light stands in the scene. You don't see any practical lights in the scene. The camera is on a gimbal. It starts with a revolving scene around the actors to show there's nothing there. It's like magic. Take a look at the scene. The actors are free to move. The camera is free to move. And it's the ideal and the simplest kind of lighting that you can do even on a low budget in a small room with white walls. Great example. Also take a look at the mats on the floor. They're gray in color. Simple reason being, if it was some kind of color, they're sitting on the floor, right? So that light would bounce off the color and you would get color in their skin tones. So it's gray because the color is even. So whatever the white balance was set to, you can have even skin tones, even colors all around. Even the characters are wearing black or neutral colors. So nobody is interfering with anything. It's a very pure scene. It's supposedly pure. It's, I think, the mafia's house and well away from all the atrocities and things that they do. So their house is pretty pure. She comes in and spills blood all over. That's the point of the scene. Even the close-ups are augmented depending on the location of the shot. So if you have a close-up, you don't ideally always want to use the same light. So you want to augment it a little bit by either bouncing a little more light onto the ceiling to get better exposure, or you can use a fill, or you can use another LED panel or whatever to make the close-ups look much better. And that's something that is done all the time. So you just need one lighting setup for the entire space and one extra light to make the difference when it matters, especially in the close-ups. That's exactly what happens in the second scene as well. The second scene is a set, I believe, in Thailand. It could be an actual location, but completely dressed up by production design. And that was very important because, again, they needed the freedom to move the actors and the cameras and to move quickly on a low budget. It's a night scene. Night scenes are harder to shoot, takes more time and more budget, and drains more energy from the crew. So you have to do it as quickly as possible. And the way to do this is to have your practicals ready. Practicals are what already exists on a set. So the production designer, the art director would have already put a lamp in place. In this case, shop lights, shop windows, shop displays, and they place it in strategic places. You can see it's placed at a 45-degree angle high above, so it lights just like you would light a scene. And it was all done on purpose. They mapped the choreography, they knew where the cameras are going to go, they knew where the actors are going to go, and the lights are placed strategically for the action, so that then they could just shoot and roll without having to wait for moving lights around. Here they've used a neon kind of color. I believe they used LEDs and not actual neons, but neon kind of color and LED lights. Cinematographer Lyle Vincent used a combination of RGB strip lights, LED strip lights that you can get in the market yourself. He used Astera tubes. Astera is a great brand, but you could use cheaper Nangwon tubes or Aperture tubes instead. They have great color as well. He used digital Sputnik cube lights. You don't need cube lights. You can use LED panels or anything for that matter. And he used airy sky panels. Again, you have cheaper alternatives to sky panels from Nangwon and Aperture. The lights that they use in the film are hardcore lights made for rentals, but you still get the same kind of lighting quality with cheaper lights as well. It's just not as well built, but the same kind of light. You can achieve the same kind of look on a cheaper budget. So you focus, or you should focus more on the practicals in the scene rather than what kind of lights you have and what kind of cameras you have. So you walk into a scene and you see, what can I add to what is already there? Are there ceiling lights? Is there a lamp in the corner? How can I augment it? Can I increase the bulb? Can I take out the bulb and make it a lower intensity? Can I block it in some way? Can I use negative fill somewhere? Can I put black wrap? Whatever, try to enhance and augment what is already there. And then the trick is to bring in one light to just glue it all together. Even if you're on exterior location, try to find a location with enough practicals. Maybe you cannot control the practicals, there's no budget, but try to choreograph your action through the lighting, and instead of trying to work against it, because that will just make it look bad. And you can also try to go between pockets of light, between darkness and between light. They've done it in this film. There are small seconds where it's completely black, almost no exposure, but it's done because you get this dynamism in the shots, especially in a long single take. Just looks good. Now, you won't match this level of detail in production design with whatever budgets you have, because it's not the lighting and the camera that makes a difference. It's not the Sony Venice or the anamorphic Hawk lenses they use in this film that makes the difference. It's the production design, and that's what costs the most money, and that's what most independent filmmakers just don't have. So you don't try to fake it, because you can't. You try to find real locations that help you get a similar look or similar aesthetic and choreograph to your strengths and avoid your weaknesses. I'm not going to talk about the choreography of the fight because it's dangerous. First thing, you're not supposed to be doing it without a stunt director, stunt team. You're not supposed to be doing it without insurance. All kinds of crazy things can happen. And also, to do it properly, you need to have enough time and budget, and most independent filmmakers don't have. They would like to know how to do fight scenes, but to actually do it the way professionals do it is not really possible or practical or advisable without a professional team. So I'm not going there. Sticking to the lighting. The last shot in the scene is great because you have her screaming after having shot the goon, and you can see she has multiple layers of color lights on her face. Every color on her face from all angles, because they're all augmented by additional lights. Now, some of it's strategic, but you can see other shots in the film where Lyle Vincent opts for multidimensionality in color because these characters inhabit the world. So during the fight scenes, the neon kind of color comes out in this film, and you want them wrapped like in a cocoon, so it's always obvious. So don't do anything arbitrarily, that's the whole point. I hope you like this video, and I hope you like this kind of content. If you do, please hit like. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell you'll see on the right so you won't miss any more videos. Bye now.